I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Cyclone Nation, what better way to kick off the 2025 college football season than cheering on your Cyclones in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, Ireland? Whether it's a quick trip to Dublin for the game, a multi-city adventure throughout the Irish countryside, or premium game day hospitality, there is a package for you. Visit cyclones2ireland.com for information on official travel and hospitality packages. That's Cyclones, the number 2, Ireland.com.
Welcome to Kickin It. What are you laughing at?
I just wanted to surprise you when we came on here.
Hi. I'm Jeff Woody. This is Kickin It. I'm, as always, joined by Grant Mahoney, Aiden Wyatt producing. We are brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing. Thank you to Jeff Kelderman, for putting up with this. I imagine Aiden, you're the farming adjacent guy, right?
Sure.
What's going on in May, June right now? Is this sort of
plant season?
It's
more
already
spraying season than anything.
Spraying season. Okay, So are you doing like kind of deep dives in your equipment, more or less? Are you looking back and saying what worked, what didn't, and kind of fixing that before?
Head at this point.
All right. Well, I imagine that's happening. If you need anything like that, whether it's agricultural or not, or just you have a sweet ride, and if you need a grill, whether it's for your face, for your meat, or for your vehicle, weird phrasing there.
This was.
Anyway, thank you to Kelderman. Also, I got an email today from the Cyclones2Ireland.com, the Aer Lingus College Football Classic.
I got that as well.
Do you know what's going to be there on Friday, right before the game?
WWE.
The WWE is going to be wrestling there, right in Dublin, right before the game. So you can go see a SmackDown right before the Iowa State Cyclones put a SmackDown on the Wildcats. Go to Cyclones2Ireland.com.
I bet Conor McGregor would be there.
I've heard.
I know he's not a WWE guy, but I think.
But I've also heard they don't like him that much. The Irish don't love Conor McGregor.
Well,
and I don't know if that's
interesting.
If that's
he's choosing to run for president. If that's true.
If I don't know if it's some anyway. So today, as is in the title of the episode that you clicked on, we got ourselves a Randy Peterson, and Randy Pete is just a treasure to have on, and this is his first year of having not covered the team, and so I wanted to get I want to do a wellness check, but also kind of see some perspective from Randy Pete. But anyway, we teased it at the top of last show that there is a new segment, and apparently are we following through on this new segment?
It just if something comes up. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if Aiden's got it pulled up or not, but the NFL schedule releases happened last week. Well, first off, Brock Purdy got paid. I'm not sure if you saw that or not.
Yes, I did see that. That's a substantial chunk of money. It's 52.5. I think, was it 5 years, 52.5 per?
Something like that. Yeah,
5 years,
181 guaranteed. I saw that he'll be making as much in 6 weeks or 6 days, whatever it was, that he was his entire contract. So yeah, it's a nice chunk of money. So good for Brock. But also the NFL schedule release came out, and the Ravens released their schedule, and they did it. I'm not really sure what the tie-in was. I think because maybe some games are going to be on Apple TV, maybe. But they did a Severance like spinoff, and so Charlie was like the main speaker. He was the head. Hi, I'm Charlie K. Like talking about you ever seen Severance?
Really? Yeah, I haven't seen this season because I didn't want to start watching it until all of them were out, because the cliffhangers at the end of those episodes are bananas. So I didn't want to have to wait an entire week, and I just haven't gotten into it since all of them have been out.
Yep, that's kind of where we're at too. We watched the first one. Like we might have to go back and rewatch the whole first season.
It's bananas.
Bananas. So We haven't finished that yet, but it's pretty good. So if you haven't seen that, I can send you the tweet. But yeah, it's Charlie Linderbaum. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if you're able to play it, Aiden, or...
I give consent to sever my memories between my professional football life and my personal life.
Who are you?
My name is Trent. I'm from work.
So we're
There's a pretty good piece to it where Kyle Hamilton, he's sitting down with like the therapist or whatever, and she's telling him about his in-ear Audi. He's like, "Oh man, I don't think I like this guy." And she's like, "You're not supposed to have any kind of thoughts on your Audi." And she goes, "Your Audi also is a big USC football fan." And he stands up and goes, "I'm out of here," because obviously he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So that's what Jeff missed this week in social media.
That's kind of fun. That is kind of fun. And I will say, like, I have accounts, and the only thing that I'll do is I'll check in just to see if I've missed like a message from somebody, like if there's a request or something like that, or if someone asks a question. Like I'll just every once in a while, I don't know, like maybe once a week, just go in and just see if I've missed anything. Didn't. So no one's trying to get a hold of me at all. Other than the fact that, okay, so there's Brock's actual contract is 5-year, 262. Charlie responding. Was it ESPN had that tweet, and Charlie responded to it, said, "You're so rich, man. Let me get a few bucks. You won't even notice." Oh man, okay. So with the Brock thing, I think this speaks a lot to there's a few aspects of this and we've kind of been on it as Iowa State fans. All Iowa State fans have been in Brock's corner the whole time, and so even removing the Iowa State fandom, it speaks to you're only going to back up the truck for somebody if you feel like they do several things for your organization. Because like when Jeremiah was on and he said, you know exactly how much that guy makes, you know exactly how much he's worth to the community. So you know that Brock as the leader and as the person is somebody that you want to back the truck up to. You think of guys like Dak, that didn't necessarily pan out for on the field as of yet, but injuries have been part of the reason why that hasn't panned out.
Broken ankle's hard to come back from.
It is. So you have a guy who, and I think Dak, he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So like you have these people that you trust with the keys to your organization for a long time, because that amount of financial commitment means that you are going to have a reduced capacity to bring other people in if something doesn't work, which means it's a huge bet to say, you know what, Brock, you're the guy. And I think hopefully that gets rid of some of the national narrative of him being Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Whatever. He's Mr. $50 million now. He's got the same type of contract that Burrow's got, same type of contract that Dak's got, same type of contract. He is being paid. He's being paid in a way that he is the face of that organization now. And I think, so yeah, 1 is personality, 2 is the faith that they have in him as a human, and 3 is the importance of fit. Like, and this is both NIL and NFL. Basketball is different because ball and hoop are all exactly the same, and if I can shoot it from 35 feet here, I can shoot it from 35 feet there. Versus football, it's so dependent on your coaches and your scheme and your understanding of the players, your comfort level with the organization, how you feel when you actually get into that building, how everyone else reacts to you, what your skill set is relative to what the coaches can build around you. And like Brock with Shanahan is such a perfect marriage that they understand that. And so to me, that says Shanahan and Brock are both going to be professionally married to each other for a while, because you don't get signed that big giant contract for a quarterback and not also have confidence that the coach is going to stick around and want to be around for everything. So this to me is just the 49ers saying the tumultuousness that they've had at quarterback really since the Colin Kaepernick success days, from the decline of Colin Kaepernick to Brock Purdy, they just hadn't had anybody.
Jimmy G for like a year.
Jimmy G for a year, but that was, he threw, I think, what was he threw 8 passes in the Super Bowl, like attempted.
Yeah.
So it
wasn't really him. He was just
it was everyone else. It was
like
Robert
Joe
Saleh's
Flacco
defense.
in there.
So it's elite Joe Flacco. But it just, to me, it feels like Brock is just right guy for the right organization at the right time in the right place, and understands that is committed to that and kind of doubling down on that. So it's good for him and it's good for the 49ers. To me, it feels like this is a win all the way around.
And I don't know what kind of cap space they have. He didn't sign like a mega deal where he's like the highest paid quarterback. He signed a very appropriate deal where he's appropriately, like you were saying, the guys who are making the same amount of money that he's making, he's right there with them. Statistically, and he's taken him to a Super Bowl. He could have taken him to 2 had he not gotten hurt, I think. But I think he signed an appropriate deal that he earned. I mean, he earned every bit of that. But also, I think they should have some extra cap space in case they want to sign anybody new, because they just lost Deebo Samuel. So I don't know if they're going to sign anybody new.
That feels like to me that's almost an addition by subtraction.
I was just going to say that too. Yeah, because you still got the guy Ricky Pearsall who got shot and didn't really play a whole lot.
And Christian McCaffrey is going to be coming off injury. You've got Shanahan's offense. You still have Kittle.
They got a running back from Oregon too who might he might be okay.
And they didn't they also draft another tight end? I think they had another tight end that they picked up. Anyway, but like they have offensive weapons, and I think the best thing that's going to help Purdy is they got Robert Saleh back to be their defensive coordinator, because that was truly the problem that the 49ers had last year. They had three of their games, I think 3, maybe even 4. It was 3 or 4 of their games where they had a lead with less than 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter and blew that lead. Well, if you take what they end up like 7-9, 6-10,
yeah.
Let's say it's just 3, and I don't remember the exact games. Arizona was 1, LA was another. So let's say you've got 3 games, and you go from 6 and 11. So you subtract 3 losses that would have been wins. So you go from 11 losses to 8 losses, and you add 3 wins. So you go 9-8 if just your defense changes absolutely nothing other than a little bit better execution in the back half of the games that you already pretty much have won. And so now you've got a guy who, when they were at their heyday, Robert Saleh was the one, when they were going to Super Bowls, he was the DC. So it is all coming up roses, I think, for Brock. And one last thing about this before we can get to Randy is because you lose guys like Deebo, because you're losing guys like Trent Williams, whose left tackle's gone, just the kind of the old Juszczyk, you have these guys that are kind of the established, Joey Bosa from the Chargers is now with Buffalo. Nick is still with the 49ers,
and Fred Warner just signed an extension today.
So there's guys like Fred Warner, guys like George Kittle, guys like Bosa that were there pre-Purdy are still there, but the majority offense is built around Brock and his personality now. He was there before Christian McCaffrey. He was there before Ricky Pearsall. He was there kind of helping Ayuk ascend to where Ayuk needed to ascend to. So like this is Brock's offense. I don't know. It's a, like I said, it's a good fit for everybody. It's really cool. Also, we haven't even said this at all. Tyrese Halliburton, Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks,
and he's been killing it. Like ever since the thing came out, I'm sure you saw. I mean, you may not have, but you saw that the NBA players. I don't know how many guys they asked this question to. Tyrese was the number 1 most voted overrated player in the NBA from his peers. You didn't see that?
Ooh, no.
So he saw that, and then after he won one of the games, because he had that basically last second layup versus the Bucks, and then he had a game winner in their next series. He had tweeted out something like quote tweeting the play, and then he said overrate that.
Love it.
He's got the largest chip on his shoulder right now.
And I love the fact I'm an NBA final 3 rounds of the playoffs fan.
Yes.
Nothing before then.
First round's garbage.
First round's garbage. Regular season, it's way too long. No one's playing hard. You can't play that hard for that long. It's just it's not worth it. Yeah.
So maybe he didn't quote tweet that, but yeah.
God, love it. But you got the Knicks and the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is back to just the Reggie Miller choke and Spike, the choke at Spike Lee. That was Knicks and Pacers. It was Knicks and Pacers in what, 1996 or 90 or not I don't know, sometime post Jordan, but like still, like that is that vibe. It feels like Tyrese being able to put the Pacers back on deck or back on the map for the first time since Reggie Miller. You've got Brock out with 49ers. You've got the New York the New York Cyclones and the Houston Cyclones that just, I don't know. It's a cool time. Cool time to be a Cyclone.
Selfishly, I hope that the Pacers and the Thunder are in the finals because I've got one of my good buddies from high school is an assistant coach on the Thunder, so it'd be cool to see him because obviously the Thunder were terrible, for a long time, and then they drafted Chet and Shea and they brought in some guys, so they've really built that team from the young, and he used to be the coach for the G League team, so we'd come, and they play the Barnstorm, who are the
Wolves?
the Energy, the Wolves. Was Energy, not Wolves. Whenever they play him, he would come in like Lou Dort, who's on the Thunder now too. He was like his best guy for the Oklahoma City Blue is their name. So it's cool to see the guys that he coached are now in the NBA and they're doing well. So selfishly, that's what I hope happens. It probably won't happen now. It'll probably be Knicks and T-Wolves now because I said that.
I don't know. The Knicks Celtics series is fun to watch too.
Yeah,
like just as a sports fan, just comeback after comeback. We have one more sponsor to thank, which is the Iowa Pork Producers Association. So thank you to the Iowa Pork Producers Association. I don't have any pithy or fun pork story. I guess the only thing is Aaron's. So my wife we're expecting kid 2 in October, and Aaron's been on a bacon kick.
Oh, excellent!
So on a bunch of different types of bacon. It's always got to be thick cut because that thin cut stuff, it's not even worth it. But thick cut, whether it's maple or apple wood or cherry wood or something like that. So she's been on a bacon kick for the last, probably 2 weeks. So Iowa Pork Producers Association, literally growing the next generation.
They've got cinnamon toast crunch flavored bacon too that I saw.
I don't know if I would want that. Give
it a try. Maybe if you want to have her try something new. Here's some cinnamon toast crunch. I don't know.
Fine. I don't know.
I went to my sister-in-law. Last thing we get into the interview here. My sister-in-law got baptized this weekend, and so we were in Ames celebrating that, and then went out to eat at the cafe. And cafe in Ames is a staple. I've never been. It's delicious.
Natch, delicious. Yep.
Yeah, and I had their quiche Lorraine that had peppered bacon in it, and I had let me get a side of bacon as well, too. Thick cut. It was delicious.
Quitchy.
Yeah.
Quitchy.
So that's all I got. Let's get into it here. We got Randy Peterson coming on, kicking it.
And now we're officially going to welcome in, may I say, the legend.
You can.
Randy Peterson. I feel like a day that's really like cold and windy kind of takes a little bit of the joy out of your retirement of living and just looking out over a beautiful lake in Okoboji. But how have you been in kind of the peace now that you've had a couple years of not being full-time, having to write a bunch of stories? How's your getting stuff done attitude, and how's kind of the peace that you've been able to find, at least a little bit?
How's the honey-do list?
Yeah.
I don't miss deadlines. I'll tell you that. I do not. So, no, I'm staying busy a little bit. People keep bugging me to write a book, which I don't know anybody that would want to read anything I have to say.
I'd read
but I've got some stuff written, but I don't know. And this time of year is normal days when it's 80 and sunny. It's fine up here. It's great. It's great because you can do anything. You can walk around the lake. You can, do anything. Take a boat out. Right now, it's a little bit limiting, but my daughters were up here over the weekend, and they come up a lot. They're both in Des Moines. So they come up a lot. I'm going to tell you this: the first game that I missed, the first game of my retirement, it was Iowa State. Whoever Iowa State played in the non-conference, and my daughters were up here. They were concerned about me doing a welfare check because after 52 years, it was something.
What else are you going to do? Yeah.
A little bit different, So they're up here doing a welfare check, and we're at a restaurant. And we were waiting for a table, so we're sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden my phone went off, and my daughter Missy grabbed my phone, and she said, "Jamie Pollard's calling." I said, "What did I do to piss him off now?" Jeez, I'm retired. So I answered it, and Jamie and Ellen, his wife, were driving to their place in Panorama to spend Labor Day weekend after the game. And so Jamie called, and he just said, "I just thought I'd check in on you and see how you're doing without, missing missing your first game in forever. And I said, God, that was cool. And then Campbell called later that night. So yeah, people check in on me. So that's good.
That's good. Before we get into actually I was thinking, all right, who's going to have perspective as to, because the last 12 months of Iowa State athletics have been arguably the best they've ever been. But before we get to that, because I was like, I mean, Randy's perspective on that would be great. But one thing that I don't know if everyone else notices, but I notice, and just because I was sometimes like adjacent waiting in the wings in those, is every press conference for like, so for sure Campbell did it. I know Rhodes did it. I don't know how far back did Chizik and McCarney. Were you always the first question? Like, how long have you been the first question at the coach's press conference? Because it would be like Rhodes had finished whatever opening address, however long that was going to be, and then immediately, without you raising your hand, it'd just be Randy, like right away. How long have you been were you the first question at the press conferences? Because that's a tradition unlike any other.
I think that started midway through McCarney.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I do. I mean, yeah, because I'd always sit right there in the front row, right in the middle of the front row, because we had to shoot this stupid video that nobody looks at. I mean, and all we're doing is shooting up your noses. I mean, we're shooting nose hairs. I mean, we've got the camera out, and it was, but yeah, it started midway through McCarney. I never really covered Chizik. Those 2 years, 1.5 years, whatever it was, that he was there. I was covering Iowa at that point in time, but because we alternated, Rick Brown and I alternated for a while. Yeah, it was Mac, and then obviously, yeah, you mentioned Rhodes and Matt. TJ does it too. I was at an Iowa State basketball game last winter. I was at a couple of them, but I got a credential for one of them. It was the one where Stacy, that the 2000 team was on.
Oh, cool.
That was kind of cool. That was kind of full circle moment. And I was in the media room after the game, just standing clear in the back of the media room. And TJ saw me back there, and so TJ called on me first. So it's a good thing I didn't stay very long in Johnny's, or I wouldn't have been able to come up with an answer or a question. But it started midway through McCarty.
That's good.
Kind of leading off of that, Randy. You've always been really good about asking a question without directly asking the question, and so I wanted to get your thoughts on, or I guess your perspective on how would you typically come up with, like, because Campbell, someone could be in line to have their leg amputated, and the person will be day to day with Campbell, and so how would you phrase a question where you want to know, hey, like, is so and so going to play this week? And I think it'd be good to answer not only for, like, young journalists, they're up and coming, but also for men who are married and want to know what their wife wants to eat, kind of the perspective on how to go about asking certain questions without directly asking the question.
Well, let's see. Just ask it. Just ask directly. And we all got to the point with Matt. It didn't take long with Matt that he was, he's like most coaches, a little bit to the extreme than most coaches. But he would never ever. Everybody would, like you said, Grant. Everybody's day to day. Everybody.
He tore his ACL, coach.
I don't think.
Who am I thinking of? The offensive lineman left side of the line from Council Bluffs. Who am I thinking of?
How long?
The farmer guy, like 5 years ago.
James Law, Brock Daigle,
Nope.
Cherokee. No,
not from Creston.
Creston. Anyway, he got hurt. He got hurt in a spring game, I think. And Campbell says he's day to day. He didn't play the whole season.
Yeah.
So it was. We've come to accept that now. That's just the way it's going to be, unless we see something on
Trevor Downing.
On Trevor Downing, yeah, thanks, yeah, Trevor, yeah. God, how did I forget that one? I spent a day with him on the farm one day, just to write a day in the life of story. It was kind of cool. But yeah, and Trevor didn't play that whole year. So I mean, it was, and then okay, at a bowl game, whatever, who'd they play? Clemson in the whatever bowl in Orlando.
Whatever it was called at that point.
In Orlando.
Or was that
in Orlando?
Yeah, whatever
One
that
of
was.
the Camping World Bowl. Yeah, in Orlando. godforsaken place to go to a bowl game, by the way.
Agreed.
Ridiculous. But there were players, Colin, the center, Colin Newell,
Newell.
was at this function, a couple of days, fan function before the game. His leg is in a boot. He can't even walk. And I know wearing a boot is a cliche. I get that. But we knew he wasn't going to play. And Campbell says, you never know. Maybe we got a shot here. And that's just the way he is. So I finally started asking him. I said, man, what do you think about the ACC? I know went to this where coaches have to designate 5 hours before the game, something like that. And I think the Big Ten does it now too. Yep. Who's eligible to play? I said, what would you think about that? What would you think about that? And oh my God. I mean, it was like I kicked his dog or something. I mean, why would you ask something like that? And I said, I just started laughing at him, and then he started laughing too. But eventually it's got to come to that. I know we're way off now because of all the gambling stuff. But Campbell kept it hidden. Hayden Fry kept injuries hidden. Although Hayden brought up injuries, he loved the years I covered him. He loved to bring up injuries because that was a way of deflecting how bad the play of some of those teams. So. But Campbell is right up there he's on the Mount Rushmore of day to day.
No, Coach, he's not dated. I mean, which day are we talking? The day of 2026? A day in 2026 compared to today. Okay, so I did, just because you've been covering sports for 52 years, you covered Iowa State for a good number of those, and going into the 2024-25 athletic calendar. We were looking at the 4 primary sports that people as fans pay attention to is football,
right,
wrestling, men's and women's basketball. And some of those teams achieved and some of those teams didn't. So first question is kind of a broad strokes question. If you were to write a column or to editorialize the entire year for Iowa State athletics, where would you start, and what would be the kind of the feelings / themes that you would apply to this past athletic season based on the expectations and then what actually happened?
I would have to start with football. What they win the first 7 games? Six, 7 games. Yeah, 7. They won their first 7 games. That became a national story, and we saw it coming. I mean, any Iowa State fan saw that coming because with Jalen and Jaden. The running backs, the defense, Rocco, obviously, a kicker, and you knew you were going to win the close games, at least had a shot at winning the close games. So that was a storyline going into the season. Iowa State was going to be good, and really good, and the expectations were off the charts, and then when it was learned that the linebackers were all
the 12th string linebackers
that were all out, and then when Campbell said day to day, with them it was damn sure day to day, but I mean, and that the day never it never came where they played. Today. Yeah, exactly.
Today.
But football was when and then they slipped in the middle. And that's when I loved it. That's when Rocco just took over, and that's when he became the leader. And here I am saying this 3 hours away in Okoboji, but I still have my spies in the locker room. And that's when Rocco became the leader, and he says, "All right, let's just cut this BS out. What are we doing here?" I mean, it may have started the year before, after they lost that crazy game in Ohio, at Ohio. But I would say football, and then they lost. They had the glitch in the middle, and then they rallied to win. And I would go to Matt with anybody that says that the bowl game was not an important bowl game. Sure, some of the opposing players opted out after the first half or opted out altogether. That was an important bowl game for Iowa State. It was, and so to cap off the 11-win season, that was the highlight of last year's athletic. Of the four sports, like you said, and the basketball, obviously, until they, I don't know what happened for sure. I have my suspicions with the injuries to Keyshawn, the injury to Keyshawn, for example, which was a big setback. But they rallied around that and made the NCAA tournament. And then the wrestling, God, poor Dressler. Geez, they have a great recruiting classes, and then boom, they get hurt. I don't know what goes on in that wrestling room, but they get hurt, and then with Finley, what a great storyline with that whole team, the youngness of that team, the youth, and then so they didn't live up. They may not have lived up to some people's expectations, but then what did Bill do? People are thinking, and Bill throws out the insinuation after the end of the year that like he does quite often in the season-ending games, that you never know if he used to say if they have me back next year, but this time he was a little bit more blunt with throwing out the idea that there may be retirement in the offing, and then all of a sudden, boom, he goes to the portal and strikes it rich, and he's got recruits. He's got once again, he's got a young team, but this is a team that's built for the future. So of those four, it would be football and then basketball, and men's basketball for sure. But yeah, this was the year to be a Cyclone fan, and I would hope that it leads to season tickets, more season tickets sold, merchandise purchased. There was great branding for Iowa State.
So Randy,
100%.
Randy, you've obviously covered sports for a long time, Iowa and Iowa State. I'm not sure if you covered any other teams as well too. I wanted to ask you. There was a story that came out with Fran McCaffrey a couple years ago, chasing down refs in the bowels of the arena. You cheating, MFers? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Of your, in your 52 years, do you have any stories of? You don't need to drop names necessarily, but just kind of any crazy, wild stories or press conferences where maybe someone's gone wild, or just any crazy stories pre or post game you can think of?
Good question. Paul Rhodes, after the Texas game, whatever year that was.
We just had Jeremiah George on a couple weeks ago.
Boom. Yeah, there you go. And exactly. And I think Paul was right, on all that stuff. And Jamie kind of went off too. And earlier that year, I think Jamie went off I think I was there, and it was at Oklahoma State. Jamie went off, ended up getting fined by one of his best friends, Bob Bowlesby. Ended up getting fined $10,000. For going off on the officials after the game in the post-game interview. So yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it there. I had I covered some of the games in the very end of Johnny Orr. He was always a treat. I think the refs liked working for him because they kind of liked his approach on the sidelines, even though he got after him constantly. I think they kind of. He was good for the game. Eustacia, you never knew what was going to happen during post games with Larry. Win or lose, you never ever knew what was going to happen. And I covered all those games that he was there, all the road trips. Yes, that road trip too. But you never knew where he was coming from in that. So he was just so intense.
Randy took that picture.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I did not. I was doing that was going on, allegedly was going on. I was at the bar at the hotel bar in Columbia, Missouri, eating a pizza and having a beverage and watching games on TV. So I was that's where I was.
Yourself.
I was, exactly. So you never knew which Larry you were going to get after game, whether win or lose. And Tim Floyd had a little bit of that in him as well. I mean, after games, he just kind of never satisfied, and that's could be a reason they're so successful. And I was not in the locker room. I didn't even cover your game, Jeff. That game that you played, the Oklahoma State game. I was covering Iowa at that time, so I don't even know what that was like afterwards. But I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
It was my senior night. I had some friends in town. It was a good night.
Or the 1998 game in Iowa City. I covered that game, but I obviously wasn't in the locker room or on the plane, or bus or whatever it was.
Was that the 27-3 game?
That was the game that Iowa City had lost 15 in a row, and they won in Iowa City. Yeah, Seneca beat. Mac beat Hayden, obviously, and Seneca beat Brad Banks. That's when Whitver had his huge stuff, and Seneca had his huge game, and that was pretty awesome too. And I remember the post game in that game, but I don't. But as far as going after officials, I've seen that. Like I said, with Rhodes and Pollard, and both instances were rightly so.
While we're in the you brought up kind of the Seneca years, and while we're talking about football, is there a comparison year for two parts? One, this last year, from what actually happened to what it felt like, the 9-3 season early in the early 2000s or whatever it was, and then coming off of that year into this next season for football, is there a historical comparison for Iowa State, and is there a comparison for Iowa in the years that you've covered them? Because it feels like for Iowa State, there's not a lot of good years to pull from. So is there a comparison year for what happened last year? And is there a comparative anticipatory year as there is going into this one?
Wow. Last year may the one off the top of my head, and I'm old. Remember that, guys. I'm old, so I don't remember well. The last year's comparative season to me would be the COVID year, the year that Iowa State beat that won the Fiesta Bowl. That would be a comparison year, and that whole 2000 year, my God. I mean, the way Iowa State beat COVID, that was incredible. I mean, and that's all. That was sure, that was Campbell and the team, but that's also Coberly and his team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due here. So I would say that was comparative there. And as far as the Iowa stuff, I haven't covered Iowa for so many years that's hard. I covered good Iowa teams, and I covered Hayden's last season too. I mean, that was kind of sad, but the way that thing ended. So I guess I can't come up with anything valid with Iowa, but to me, the whole Iowa State last year was compared to the whatever that was 2020, whatever that was with the COVID.
Last week, Randy, we had on a super fan who has been to every Iowa State game except for one since 1976. Now you've covered quite a few Iowa State games, and so you've seen the transition from Clyde Williams Field to Jack Trice, and then obviously the improvements to Jack Trice. I want to get your thoughts on CyTown. I think it's supposed to open in 2027. What kind of implications do you think CyTown's going to have for the city of Ames? Oh
man, I'm conflicted on that.
Tell us about it.
I really no, I know. Yeah, I really am. I don't see a whole lot of movement out there going on. I know they're building the doctor's clinic. I know that, and they've got the structure done, and I hope it works. I hope it does. It's a wonderful plan going forward, and I've seen it. I think that the Sukup amphitheater, whatever stage, whatever it is, at the one end of it, I think that's wonderful. I really do. If it gets completed, if it goes as it's anticipated or as it's hoped, I think it's going to be spectacular. I do, and I get it. It'll only have potentially just seasonal interest because you're not going to sit there and tailgate at a basketball game when it's 20 below zero. But depending on what they get in there, I mean, I can see the hotel taking off. I really can. I think that's a good thing. And as far as a restaurant, it depends on what kind of restaurant they get in there. But yeah, I think that if it goes as the planners have it and figured out in their mind, yeah, I'm excited to come back in however many years and I'm down there quite a bit anyway, but I'm excited to partake in it.
It is interesting with something like CyTown. I think a lot of times people will overcomplicate certain aspects about sport where it's not exclusively on this line, because things like Iowa State fans are fairly unique in that they've supported bad teams a lot. Like Iowa State has had mostly bad teams in their history, but win and CyTown successful. Lose for a lot of years and CyTown isn't going to be successful. Like that, it feels like that's as much as it is, because let's say Iowa State wins 3 out of the next 6 Big 12 championships, and it's that in football, and they're constantly in like the top 3 seed lines in the NCAA tournament for both men's and women's over the next decade, CyTown's going to be hopping, because it's going to be a thing that will the amount of fans that are going to want to see that successful team. Any business, and this is business owner Jeff, I'd want to put a business right there, because the amount of money that you can get from that interest in people coming and wanting to be a part of it is huge. A game day set on CyTown looking back towards Jack Trice Stadium or whatever, awesome. If Iowa State's really bad, there might not be a lot of fan interest, and now all of a sudden that becomes a thing that you really have to worry on. And it feels like that's a thing that Jamie making CyTown and investing so much in it is a huge bet on his teams and his programs succeeding in the long term, at least enough to get this, 10 or 15 years, at least enough to get CyTown established as a thing. And then once it can be established, then great. But that to me feels like a bet that Jamie's making. And I don't know if there's necessarily a question in that, but that just to me feels like an overcomplication of good, bad. If they win, it's good. If they don't, it won't.
There's a lot to unpack there. If they win, I think Iowa State is not, I'll ask both of you guys, you're former athletes, is Iowa State not built now to win?
Perfectly suited. In all major sports.
Exactly. I mean, as long as they can keep holding their own, somehow keep holding their own in the off the field financial world that this college athletes or college athletics is in now. If Iowa State can hold its own there, I think Iowa State's pretty set. Iowa State's had good years in football in the past, for example, and have not been able to build off of them. Iowa State has, that's the thing about Matt and his staff. They've built off one good year begets another one. Same with basketball. I mean, TJ's Hoiberg was the master of the well, I wasn't even called a portal then, it was transfer, but of the transfers. But Hoiberg was the master of the transfers or the first person, father of getting transfers, and TJ's mastered it. I mean, it's incredible. So yeah, I think, and Finley's got it going, and I know that he's not going to be there forever, but as long as he's there, Iowa State looks like it's loaded. I think so. The programs are going to be good. Let's just start there. The programs are going to be good. Where will Iowa State fans then? What will they do with it, CyTown during the winter? I have a question. I question that. I don't know, and I'm not certain it's going to be a spot. If it's, they've got a couple bars or restaurants in there, which they'll have at least one, I'm sure. I'm not certain that's going to be a place where students hang out. I think they're still going to go downtown. I mean, it's just what students do. So, and I've heard the comparisons of It's going to be very similar to Titletown in Green Bay, or it's going to rival the Power Night District in Kansas City. If it does, I hope they don't sign an exclusive contract with Miller Lite, which Power Night District does. I hope they sign an exclusive contract with Bud Light. But anyway, we'll talk. I talked to Jamie about that later. But I think that if they win, and I think they're set for winning, I think at least during the fall, it's gonna be great. I do, and then it's also now going to be contingent, or a lot of it's going to have to do with, are they going to be able to bring once they get the concert facilities, are they going to bring concerts back to Ames, Iowa State, like they used to, the concerts and conventions. The hotel then will be full, and that's a good start. And I've heard it's going to be a somewhat student-run hotel, which is outstanding. Get students involved in it, which is outstanding. So I think CyTown's got a chance to be a gem for Central Iowa and the state of Iowa. I do, and I think, like you said, Jeff, yes, winning helps. I think Iowa State is set up to win now, but so does having places that are conducive to students. Students, during the summers, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge who they expect is going to be going to CyTown during the summer.
We saw George Strait came last year, to Jack Trice.
Right.
So I wonder if that was almost like a precursor, just to see, can this do well? And it did really well. So I think if Iowa State, it might only be one weekend, but I would hope they'd do like a concert series over the summer so that they can use that. So then people will come in from all over, so they'll stay in the hotel. They'll go to the CyTown before the concert. They do sell beer and Jack Trice for concerts, not for football games, unfortunately. But then also, it's only one weekend, but boys state basketball, that's being hosted.
Right. Yes, that's going to be good. Yeah,
I think that's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. Let me just compare it. I don't know where it's in my mind. It's kind of comparative. Up here at Okoboji, at Arnold's Park, they have a huge pavilion, a huge stage, outdoor stage on a huge grassy area of Arnold's Park. It's a huge, not hill, but it's a sloped setting in the middle of a lot of bar areas. They've got concerts up here. I mean, it's not like they get shaboozy, or I always wanted to use that word. I did it. Yes. It's not like they get shaboozy up here, but they get acts up here once a weekend, and they have fireworks after it. I mean, and they get during the summer, during the peak season, they get a couple thousand people at that. People just hanging out on the hill, drinking at the bars, walking over to the concert. It's usually a free concert, but and that attracts people to the area. Now, like you said, Grant, I mean, maybe they can get more concerts and throw it down there, put them down there, and maybe not as big as George Strait, obviously, but put the concerts at the Sukup Amphitheater, Pavilion, whatever it's going to be called, and see what happens. It's great. I think there's a big market, even for me. There's a big market for not lesser known, but for bands, for concerts that aren't, Shaboozy. Yeah, that's not Shaboozy. Yeah, yeah. Or the dude with the tattoos. Or
Jelly Roll. Post Malone.
Yeah.
Face tattoos. I think you need a face tattoo, Randy.
He's a fat neck tattoo.
It's big old. It's an angel on your neck.
Next question. No, I thought about getting a 52 on my arm, wherever we are, on my arm. So if somebody had said, "How long did you work at the register?" I can always, can can always look, but I've got kind of skinny.
When do deadlines need to get filed by? Like, is that
Ooh, I used to write those on my hand.
You can just tattoo that time right on your wrist.
But they change it every day. So
with CyTown, I think one thing that makes me optimistic about it is, and we brought him up 1,000 times, is the fact that Jamie Pollard's going to be the one that is kind of the moving force behind it, where sort of by sheer personality, and I don't know if because you guys have a fun relationship, and I think you kind of established that just because you're very genuine. Randy is Randy. It doesn't matter where you interact with him, doesn't matter if he's working, doesn't matter if he's just hanging out. Randy is Randy. And I think a lot of the coaches and administrators appreciate that, in that you're going to get what what you're going to get. And I think that kind of shines through. And so you've had a unique relationship with Jamie. I think, and I think that people still don't appreciate Jamie Pollard and what he's done for Iowa State athletics, and what was taken over, what he took over, and what it is now. And it just feels to me like that is something that, if he's behind CyTown and he's got the coaches hire that he wants to hire, he's got stadium and the facility renovations and negotiating everything, and is in charge of getting the whole Sheeman and everything, all those things getting kind of worked together. It feels like if you give Jamie the ability to do it, he's going to get it done. So I don't know if there's kind of a perspective you've had on Jamie as compared to what we've got now versus when you were covering Iowa State pre-Jamie Pollard.
If I'm an Iowa State fan, I want Jamie Pollard more than ever right now. Not only for CyTown, but his vision of CyTown is, he's the one with the vision, and Wendy gave him the keys to it. I mean, Wendy said, "Here, it's all yours." I mean, you and Rick Sanders, who's the head of the whatever is that called, development area, whatever it's called, Callie's husband. But yeah, I mean, so if I'm an Iowa State fan, I want Jamie right now. I want him. And yeah, you were right. Jamie and maybe some other people in the media too, didn't exactly always we always had a good relationship. We respected the hell out of each other, but there were times when it got, I don't want to say combative, but there was friction. There were times, but we work our way through it. And so that, I think I've got a respect for him, and I think he respects me. Obviously, like I said, he called me. He did a welfare check on me last year. So, and I'll see him whenever it is, Thursday, when the tailgate tour's up here. But and we'll go have a beverage or 3 or 4 afterwards, because it's an overnight. But I want Jamie, and I especially want Jamie navigating this world of name, image, and likeness, and the whatever it is, $20.7 million, $20.8 million, whatever it is, how that's going to be distributed. I want Jamie on the sidelines. I mean, on the sideline. I want him calling the shots for that. For that, at least to get Iowa State started and raising the money for it.
Yeah, it helps too with Purdy signing a nice little contract recently, and Tyrese making some good money.
How about Ty? Yeah, exactly. And David's making money.
And that's the thing too. You'd mentioned Iowa State. Are they set up to win? And Iowa State is just now starting to get
right,
consistently guys in the NFL, but not just that, guys who like the Brock, the guys who really made Iowa State what they are today. They're going into their second contracts. Getting extensions, Breece Hall will probably be next. Dave Montgomery is making money. Will McDonald's gonna be making money. He's tearing it up so far too. So I think Iowa State's set up well for the future if those guys want to donate some of the money back.
Yes, exactly. And I was wondering to myself, or my daughters, like I said, they were both up here over the weekend, and we were talking, and one of them asked, does Jamie just go, send them a card or send them a letter saying, "Hey, we'd like to have some of your money"? I don't know. How do they do that? I mean, I don't think Jamie. I saw a video of Jamie shaking David's hand on Saturday during the graduation. I don't think that was he was shaking his hand and then Jamie saying, "Hey, why don't you give us some of that money?" I think that's one of those deals where if the players are going to do it, they'll do it. I don't know whether whether a fundraiser goes out there and knocks on their door and say, hey, how would you like to contribute to Iowa State? They know they know this name, image, and likeness situation is out there, and that the whole stuff. And I saw. How would you guys do it? I mean,
well, I think the guys who are like we had Jalen on a little bit ago too, and so he was obviously the guys who were the recipients of NIL. They saw what it did for them. So I have a feeling that those guys, once they're in the NFL, that they're going to want to give back some of their money if they can afford it. So I feel like, because we had some guys, when we played, who were in the NFL for a little bit and maybe gave some money back, maybe didn't give as much money back. But I feel like the guys like the Brocks, the Jalen, the Jadens,
the Tyrese,
the guys who were in the NIL, realm when they were receiving money, I feel like they are going to be more apt to give back money to the program.
And you want to know how I would do it? Hey, Brock, you know what your income tax is going to be?
Bring your tax bracket
a
down
lot more than it was last year. We can help that, and you can get Iowa State to be pretty good. Here, donate to this 501c3. So I think that's
boom. There you go. See, I knew I could bring that up, and yeah,
there you go.
Here's what I would do. I would send a birthday card that's got a slot for money, that's empty, with a return envelope that's already postmarked, and a note in there that says, "Please return," and with this slot filled with a check.
There you go.
Please return to this address. I don't think it'll work, but
I think you guys should send the letters. I mean, I do.
I'll try it.
All right, Brett. Get out of the way, Brett Bloom. Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but I don't even know. I would assume that there'll be some of that money come back to Iowa State. I don't know. I mean, in one way or another. I don't know how, but I don't know. Maybe that'd be great.
Trust Jamie Pollard to figure it out.
That's right.
I would trust Jamie Pollard to figure it out, and I would trust the players to use their own conscience.
That's right.
Let their conscience be their guides to their checkbook. I
don't have anything else for you, Randy. We appreciate you. I'm Jeff. I'm not sure if you do. We appreciate you coming on.
The only other thing is that I think I talked to Brent at Cy's House of Trivia, and apparently the Northwest Iowa golf outing will happen at some point. I don't know when. I don't know exactly where, but I'll be there. So
you weren't here last year, were you?
Grant wasn't. I was. Yeah, we ran into each other at whatever the place is outside Arnold's Park. That little.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw you there. Okay. Good. Yeah. Well, Lindsay Finnerly and I had a few pops beforehand.
Yeah. So it's just that
some of that stuff I don't remember,
memorable,
but I do remember seeing you. We sat back there at the back table table.
Exactly.
Yes. And
I'm not invited to either one, so I
Jackie was
Lansburg.
Jackie was there too, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I do remember that. See, I remember you, Woody. God.
See, this shiny ball dome didn't catch enough light to shine it in your eyeballs.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Well,
right.
I'll be seeing you at some point in the next, couple months.
Yeah. Come on up. It's a big lake.
We appreciate your time, Randy. Thank you so much.
All right. Anytime, guys. Thank you. It's an honor.
Good talking to you.
All right. Bye.
That was legendary Randy Peterson, formerly of the Des Moines Register for 52 years. He has it tattooed on his neck.
It's a teardrop. He just
teardrop.
It's a 5 on one side and a 2 on the other side.
You zoom in, you're like, oh, is that a reflection? That's a 5. That's a 2. Randy, who'd you kill?
It's a teardrop. Yeah.
Killed
stories.
Newspaper industry.
Killed timelines. Right. Killed stories.
That's right. No, that was a fun. Interview. Randy's a good guy. Like you said in the interview, he's just authentically Randy. He is who he is, and he's that who you're getting. And we got Randy.
You know what's funny is that the amount of, and he's got such journalistic integrity. It's wild too. Like with as to the point as Randy is, his journalistic integrity. The off the record stories that Randy Peterson has are bonkers.
I was trying to dive into some.
Just bonkers. And he won't reveal them because he is, again, his professional integrity is extremely high, but his off the record stories. Oh, I love it. He's a guy that you could just sit and listen and just BS with about stuff that happened in like 1998 and it's just awesome.
I might need to go up to Okaboji and just hit him up and just say, hey, let's have some blue smoothies and let's hear some of these stories, man. Blue smoothie as in the beer, Jeff.
Oh, got it.
Yep, I haven't sure got that on that.
Got it. I thought
you got anything else? No, you got anything else? I'm going to wrap up with kind of a not a sponsor, but just something that something additional to how I close the show out. Obviously I always close the show out with thank you to our loyal listeners. And remember, adopt, don't shop. Well, I had a nice lady, Nancy Carroll, reach out to me. Ames is getting a new animal shelter. And so she wanted me to talk about a few different things that they have going on. She said, this is directly from her, from the email she sent me. She said there'll be a programmatic partnership formed between the animal shelter and the ISU Vet College. So specifically, a medical surgery room will be included in the new building to be able to spay and neuter animals in-house. Currently, all the dogs and cats are being taken to local vet clinics. So in the new shelter, these 2 procedures can be performed by third-year vet students, which is huge. You know, Randy had talked about the new hotel in CyTown mostly being run by college students, which I think is cool, but also this opportunity that, you know, students can have the ability to spay and neuter pets will be great. And she says this will save the animal shelter around $150,000 per year, and the large number of procedures required will help all the vet students gain valuable experience. So the dollar saved will then be used to help more in more ways than one. So it's a big win for everyone. And so I you know, in saying adopt, don't shop, I'm not trying to shame anyone in if you want to go to a puppy farm, a puppy mill, if you will, that's your prerogative. I just want to read off the stats, and some people may turn us off right now. That's fine. So the horrible 100 list just came out last week or two. So that was it was put out by the Humane World for Animals. It's formerly known as the Humane Society of the United States. Iowa ranked 3rd nationally on that list. Basically, what the horrible 100 is, it's a tally of states with the most dog breeders and brokers cited by regulations. It's basically cataloging the most egregious regulatory violations as cited by state and federal inspectors of puppy mills. A lot of the findings that were reported in Iowa were in reference to neglecting dogs, leaving them sick. One place had 6 dogs die. One place had 17 dogs that they got a notice of, and so the inspectors went to go check in this place. 17 dogs were found dead on their property. They had to seize 49 dogs. This is one of the puppy mills in Iowa. A lot of the dogs were left outside in the winter. They were emaciated. Some of them died because it was so cold. A lot of them were needs immunizations. A lot had matted fur, being in confined areas with an immense amount of fecal matter. There was one location where there was dried crusted fecal in the dog bowls, including rodent feces. So it's just there are some really nasty locations. There's some good ones in Iowa, but for the grand overall perspective of things, we got a Labradoodle from the ARL. So if you do want like a designer type dog, they are out there. You can put alerts on like the ARL app. I'm not sure if the new Ames Animal Shelter will have any kind of app or anything where you can have an alert for dogs that come in. And just kind of one last thing here, for the 13th year in a row, Missouri was the highest number of dealers in the in the horrible 100 list. So not good. Don't go to Missouri to get a dog. And again, I'm not trying to sway anyone from not getting a dog or from going to a puppy mill. One stat I do want to put out that in 2024 there were approximately 334,000 dogs that were in animal shelters that were euthanized. So there are a lot of older dogs that don't get adopted that I think are usually the ones euthanized. But I would encourage anyone, if you are looking to get a dog, maybe be patient and put in some kind of alerts on the like ARL app or whatever it might be, and do your research. If you do want to go to a puppy mill, do your research. Look at the horrible 100 list and see if they're on there. If they are, I would not recommend going there. But also, I would try to do as much research as you can before you get a dog, because their lives matter too. Our dog, obviously, you have dogs, Jeff. Dogs have feelings. And I don't know if your dogs, I'm not saying you guys did this, but I've had some people where they have dogs and they have kids, and the dogs, not that they're neglected, but you can tell the dogs are a little depressed because there's not as much attention on them. So dogs have feelings too, and they may only be in your life for a short amount of time, but you're in their life their whole life. So that's my spiel on dogs.
Oh, I have 2 adopted pups. Well, one was from a farm in Missouri. And we got to see mom. Mom was actually a herding dog. Got to see the pups. Got to say, oh, that puppy that's running around in the field, that one. And then the other one was from Patriots for Pets in Clear Lake, which is no longer operational. We had 2 adopted pups, and one of the adopted pup, which is it's a pit bull mix, is our daughter's best friend. So like and when she wakes up, she'll just go Dougie, Dougie, Dougie until he walks in the room. So no, dogs the best. So you can close it out with your trademark saying.
That's all I'm gonna say. So thank you to all of our loyal listeners who are still listening. Randy Pete, thanks for him for coming on. And as always, remember, adopt, don't shop.